Hi, and welcome to a new episode of the Experience SAP Podcast by Sovanta. My name is Christian Heinrich. I'm part of Sovanta's management team. And in this podcast, I invite guests to talk about interesting topics around BTP, user experience, all related to SAP. My today's guest is Cody Wedl. He's the president of Sovanta America. We just founded Sovanta America last year. And today I talked with him about specialties of the American market, the role of the BTP in America, why Sovanta decided to go to America, what the first month were like for him personally and also for Sovanta. So we had a pretty interesting conversation. Have fun. Yeah, hi Cody. Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here, and I think it's actually the first time for you to be on the podcast. Is that right? Do I remember that correctly?
It is the first time I've been on the podcast. I know that this is a long time coming. We always joked around about it, saying that it has to happen at some point. But with everything that happened over the last year and a half, everything finally aligned that we were able to sit down together. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure thing. You're already mentioning it, so we will definitely talk about the last year, 1.5 years in a second. But just want to mention as well that there were so many occasions where we could have done a podcast, so like all the experience management topics, everything all the travels we had in the past together. So a lot of interesting times and topics together, but now finally we made it. And the topic for today is, not a surprise for most people, I would say, is really Sovanta America. So I think we haven't talked about that publicly a lot. A lot of people know that last year we went to the US with the Sovanta America, and we just thought, okay, it's a good timing now to have a look back, also give more insights in what's our strategy for the US, what are our focus topics for the US. So, and you're as the president of Sovanta America, you're the perfect guy to talk about that, obviously.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, and thanks again for having me. We've had a lot going on over the last year and a half. It really started last year around this time, where the topic came about that we were going to head to the US. We have a lot of great things going on here in the DACH region, as you know, as a lot of people out there know. And for us to evangelize that, right, and take our best practices and our lessons learned to the US right now is a great opportunity for us to do that. And so far, the reception has been really, really great. And I know that we want to get into that a little bit more into detail here. But we hit the ground running, as we say in our American slang, in our American English. And since last year, I would say it took a little bit for us to set up the organization. For those people who don't know, setting up an organization that is attached but also decoupled from the parent company is not the easiest thing to do, right? So we want to make sure that that's set up correctly, but also that we're able to then evangelize all the great things that we're doing in the DACH region for our customers who are there as a sort of an extension of what we're doing with multinational corporations who are our customers, and then also to bring our great things around what we're doing for our customers. And the SAP BTP, for example, or Qualtrics is also a fun possibility, and that's what we're going to be doing moving forward.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely a lot of first times again. So I had the feeling last year, it was only 1 year ago, like you mentioned, when we kind of started the discussion. So it went quite fast, but it was a lot of first times again, considering legal structures, considering location, right, considering office equipment, so all that stuff where I thought, okay, that's quite some time ago. We had to talk about the last time, but it was, again, fun things. Maybe a follow-up question on that. So we said, okay, you said, well, it's... we have all the templates. We want to evangelize what we do in BTP in America. But why do you think, or what in your understanding, why did we choose that timing? So why now Sovanta America? Why not next year? Why not 5 years ago? So what made 2023 like the perfect timing for us, for you, to actually go to the US?
I think before. So to answer your question, there's a little bit of a backtrack, right? And then we can go into that. So we really landed well with the BTP. The story around the BTP, the Business Technology Platform, really aligns itself with what Sovanta does for customers, right? Within a clean core strategy, having that bimodal approach, all of the extension side, what to do, how to clean up all of the custom code that's out there, right? There are a lot of customers out there that really need assistance with that because it's not their core process. It's not what they're traditionally there to do, right? And that's what we've been doing for quite a while. And we have heard within our network, within our customers that are the multinational organizations, the corporations, right, that they also need help in North America and how we can help. So we've been sending project teams over, or we've been doing things virtually now. And yes, that is one, I would say, positive that actually sadly has come out of the COVID situation, that we were able to do things virtually. But we saw last year that, hey, right now the time is right where we are. We have the benefit of having customers who are relatively early adopters in BTP technology. So we also, as a partner of SAP, see ourselves as a forerunner, as a front runner of adopting that BTP technology as well, gaining those best practices and having those lessons learned. We can say learning from failure, right? All the way through, and that we also are. And when we enter in the U.S. market right now, or North American market, we really do have those best practices, and we are also a front runner there as well, where we can also help other customers there as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So I think it's a perfect timing because now is really this adoption phase. So we are talking about BTP adoption all the time, but now is really the time where a lot of companies just figured out, okay, BTP is the way to go. BTP plays a crucial role in their overall enterprise architecture and their IT architecture. And a lot of companies just struggle with actually adopting it, gaining the speed, getting up to speed, making sure they build up teams for BTP, and just leveraging it and getting the most out of this technology. And I know, well, we have the competencies and we can just help. And I think also this worked out quite well in with the first ASAC events, talking to customers. Right. I think with the first events also inside of SAP, talking about, okay, how can we support? We just see that it's a good fit right now because we can actually really help a lot of customers in gaining speed and gaining more speed on BTP.
And on that, actually, we actually see more customers saying it's okay to stay on that reference technology. You alluded to earlier, more companies adopting the BTP, and what we see right now is that when your infrastructure is already on SAP infrastructure, right? Whether it's on a hybrid scale or from a customer approach, right? A hybrid version of a IT architecture. When your underbelly, let's say, of your systems are on SAP technology, it just makes sense to scale with the BTP. Mm-hmm. And from a reference technology standpoint, you have all of these different organizations within a multinational corporation coming to you saying, hey, let's use this new cool app, or hey, let's use this other thing. But then you have to have people trained on it. You have to have the experience. You have to maintain it. It has to be integrated. And all of a sudden, this entire ecosystem comes in from this one little app, that one segment of one division comes in, where IT organizations are finally saying enough is enough. Mm-hmm. We cannot manage this all the way through. And if they are an SAP shop, which yes, we are very partial as an SAP Gold partner, right? If you're an SAP shop and you have that SAP underbelly within your entire organization throughout all the different countries that you operate, right? Going on standard technology and standard reference technology that SAP has now, all the way through to even build out your the solution extensions just makes sense. Mm-hmm. And also from a financial perspective. And that's what's really surprising for me is all of a sudden when you talk about digital debt and a CIO goes and talks to a CFO about total cost of ownership. And for me, that number is just simply outstanding. By the time you add in training and enablement, how you have to harbor all these little applications that everybody thinks are the cool new thing, right? And all of a sudden, a CIO is able to talk with a CFO, and they're actually able to form a pretty peaceful union right now in their march towards a clean core.
Yeah, no, that's what I really like about BTP and the approach so much. It's like, well, it's definitely easy to build a first application. A lot of companies already did, but then IT comes in and say, how can we scale that? How can we make sure, okay, this really runs? And then at the other hand, a little bit the problematic side of BTP comes in, where BTP is a little different technology compared to what you knew from the past. So it's, well, you have ABAP in there, but it's just a different approach than, well, working on premise. You have a lot of cloud native technologies. It's just a different way of working in the side by side scenario. So I think where we can really support is, on the one hand side, to really support you in getting this first experiences and creating applications, but then also figuring out a way how we can actually scale that to larger companies and to the whole company as well in the same place. But maybe you can talk a little bit about what some of the specific offerings that you see that are quite interesting for the American market right now. So we talked a lot about the strategy, saying, okay, we see everybody needs it, but what can we bring to the table? What kind of offerings, or what offerings out of our portfolio do you see especially being of interest for the US market right now?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I see priority number 1A for us is actually helping organizations build up a center of excellence. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, we were at the ASUG Tech Connect event last November in New Orleans. Yeah, and we were able to sponsor that event, and I was really surprised that they actually devoted the full third morning to how to retrain and rethink and re-enable an entire organization to the cloud, from a traditional on-premise infrastructure approach to a cloud agile approach. And with that, the BTP COE is instrumental with that. And we had a lot of great conversations with customers there. And since then, we've had numerous conversations with other customers saying, okay, what goes into a COE? Why is that important? Well, all the governance, how the demand gen happens, who are the single points of contact within an organization to handle the throughput. And it's not just handling demand generation, it's also the contracts. It's also making sure that the naming convention is correct. Because when we're talking about a smaller company, for example, that may not matter as much as a multinational corporation with 26 mergers and acquisitions, where all of a sudden they're talking about taking 26 organizations and putting it on one single solution, with one single architectural diagram. These things end up looking like a spaghetti, a bowl of spaghetti soup once you start piecing them all together, like. With all the different ways that you have to connect everything. But having one reference architecture and being able to then support them in their transition to the clean core around a governance model, around a naming convention, is really important, which also includes the leadership perspective, how to lead through this transition. And then, as I alluded to earlier, that training and enablement is always one of the most important things, is how to give comfort to the organization that you will hold their hand through that transition process as well.
Yeah, and that brings me back to what I said earlier. It's finally coming back then to, well, the IT stepping in and to create the framework around BTP, saying, okay, how can I actually handle that? But what I see oftentimes at the moment is actually, okay, you figure out, well, you're the guy, you handle BTP now. And oftentimes those poor guys, they really have to do it in overtime because it's just not the initial idea, the initial job. Right. So they said, okay, you're an SAP, you know SAP, so let's do SAP BTP in parallel.
It's an additional duty, right?
It's an additional duty with a completely different approach, and oftentimes also technology stack. So it's oftentimes really, really overwhelming how to start there. And the one thing that shouldn't happen there is that you slow down, because the cloud is all about speeding up. And if you then do it that way, and it's totally fair, you need to have those regulations, you need to have all the governance model, you need to have that everything in place. But if you don't staff it the right way, and if you can't rely on the right best practices, it can really slow you down. And that's what I see a big problem at the moment on BTP, saying, okay, before I start rolling it out to my whole organization,
that's right,
I need to have the governance in place, but that might take another half a year to actually get started. And this is where I see, okay, we we can really work together in a lot of areas here.
No, absolutely. And even when customers say, hey, we have something already set up, or we have the personnel in place, understanding the different components and having that documented before they get kicked off with their BTP journey, let's say, they need to have all their ducks in a row.
Yep.
And when they say, hey, we're concentrating solely on our S4 transformation, the business side isn't slowing down. They're not stopping throughout the entire S4 transformation okay, let's stop doing business and let's stop, our business demands so that IT can have the S4 transformation that may or may not be done in 3 years. Everybody's just going to look and smile and say, yeah, that's just not going to happen, right? So understanding that in this bimodal approach, that this other side has to happen, and probably is happening even faster, or probably progressing even faster than the S4 transformation, is also an important factor that a lot of customers are begrudgingly finding out the hard way.
Yeah. No, so that's why I see especially the roadmap to BTP COE, the roadmap starter, so different offerings. We don't have to go into the detail here. That's a content of another podcast, but those are really those. I don't really like it, but those are the accelerators for actually going into BTP. So definitely something where we had a lot of great conversations. In Germany, but especially also in the States. So one important topic. But for me, I think it's definitely always important to mention that it's not only the COE. It's the strategy part is important.
Right.
But I also see you need to find a way how to create something tangible in really fast. So this is what I see the cloud is all about, is creating something, trying out something in the right framework, definitely, but then showing it to your business, getting the buy-in from the business, and starting fast and figuring out those additional ideas, figuring out this additional business and use cases. So definitely something where I would, because we see that all over the place. It's great to talk about COE. Everybody wants to have it. Everybody sees that they need to have it. But I just wanted to mention all the time that, okay, nobody should forget to start really doing something for their businesses and creating solutions and creating extensions.
No, that's a really good point, because on that, what we did is we understand that the BTP is a juggernaut, right? And with that, we understand where we excel and where we don't excel, right? We don't have the expertise, or I don't say we don't have the expertise, but we don't specialize in certain areas of the BTP as well. But one of the cool things that we have done is that we are also very transparent about that. And SAP is very appreciative of that, and customers are also very appreciative when we're very open and honest about what we want, what we are able to deliver based on our knowledge, and where we may suggest that, hey, that's not where where our center of expertise is. And on that, we have broken down where we really do accelerate into different packages, like you said, in a crawl, walk, run modus. So when customers are struggling in a certain area, that we can actually provide them a solution brief or an at a glance saying, hey, here's how we can help you in this certain situation. Let's have a 3-hour workshop on us, because that way you can get to know us. We get to know you. You understand that we have expertise and use cases in this area. And it's an easy way then for us to start a dialogue with customers to say, hey, we're here to help you develop a very productive and strong program. Right? We're not just here to build something and we're out of here. We understand that the BTP is a journey. Clean core is a journey, and we want to be here with you throughout the long term. So from that, we're here to invest with you. We want to understand where your strengths are, and with that, we'll help you as best as we can all the way through the journey. And I think that from there, we can also empathize with their position based on budget and resources, right? And then they see also us as people, and we can build that rapport and see how we can work together going forward.
But that's a good point. So what is in your understanding the perfect customer for us, or putting the other way around, for whom are we the best partner at the moment? So what do you need to have? What size? What maturity on BTP? What structure? What ideas? So because we're quite new to the American market. So if you said, okay, customers don't know us. So if I'm in a responsible role in IT at an American customer, at an American company, and I see Sovanta for the first time, so what kind of problems, or where in my maturity road or journey on BTP should I be in order to say, okay, Sovanta could actually help me? Is this can we cluster those companies in a way, saying, okay, we work with them pretty well, or that's a perfect starting point, or is it something all over the place? I don't know.
What's really cool about Sovanta is that we are industry agnostic, because we have come from the area of user experience, and there's the old saying from our design team: you cannot not have an experience. Mm-hmm. You're either going to have a good, bad, or a neutral experience, right? So if you're going to provide these experiences for your end users, you might as well make them good. So with that, we also have a luxury and a curse that we are not specific in any industry, and we don't have an industry focus. And we look at problems through a human-centered design approach, because we want to help customers glean user adoption at the end. Mm-hmm. Because if we're, let's say, building a solution extension, right, or we're looking at a build apps, use case, mm-hmm. or something like that, we want to make sure that we're walking through the path and that journey of the end user as well. So when we have an ideal customer, we want them to be an SAP customer. Okay. We want them to have mm-hmm. We want them to have exactly. We want them to understand SAP, what SAP is really good at, and where SAP is going, and they should have the understanding of, hey, SAP is on this journey. We should really be on this journey too, because we see the business benefit of it. Mm-hmm. AI, Gen AI, this huge buzzword topic right now that everybody is talking about, and where a lot of organizations with the traditional on-prem systems, they're saying, okay, I'm hearing enough about it. What kind of expertise do I need? Who can I talk to about it? We have a 3-hour workshop where we can actually lay it out for them and say, hey, listen to our experts in this, because this is how we have a roadmap for you to take advantage of specific journeys and specific use cases that are going to provide immediate business value, so that you can have an idea of how AI/Gen AI. Mm-hmm. Gen AI is way too overused right now with the buzzword, but how AI can help you in some of these processes. Mm-hmm. And that's just one case. I think side-by-side extensions is also another fun one. It's actually my favorite one, because you can bridge the gap between the old technology and the new with the side-by-side extension, and really take advantage of modern architecture with everything you want to do. And with that, then you also have a great user experience, mm-hmm. because SAP has gotten such a bad reputation. I actually got stopped one time going into the US by a customs agent saying, I worked with SAP, and he said, can you please fix the user experience of SAP? Literally. And so that's the bad reputation.
Working on it.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a bad reputation that SAP had gotten, sometimes unfairly, right? Because in public sector, that's oftentimes what the default user experience was, right? So it wasn't Fiori or anything like that. But nevertheless, SAP has made great strides over the last decade in this space and with standard reference technology, and we're here to help customers guide them towards that. So I understand that was a very long definition of our ideal customer, but I hope that lends a little bit of light into who we work with.
I got it. So I would say, so for me, and that was one of the main aspects I think you mentioned. I think the only really requirement we have is that they have a bit of an understanding of the importance of the BTP in the future, so that they really say, right, okay, I got it. I want to work with BTP. I see the whole clean core paradigm. I see the whole side-by-side extension paradigm. I see the whole let's have an separate innovation platform, and this could be an SAP platform as an idea, and see, okay, I want to work with that. I think that's the only thing we would want the customer to see, because from there we can support in all different stages. We can help them, getting the first steps or doing the first steps on BTP. We can help them if they are already really mature in scaling it with different teams, with additional additional spot consulting, expertise, something like that. So, because one thing I would like to add as well to the UX story is I'm still a big fan of the UX story. I still see we are improving user experiences and experiences on a day-to-day basis. We evolved a little bit, and I think that's also important to understand into this BTP expert partner role. I say, okay, we really are an BTP expert partner. We really see that customers need this expert partner in the future, because if BTP plays such an important role in your overall architecture, you need to have a partner, and you need to have a team together with a partner really concentrating on that. And that partner needs to be an end-to-end partner where they say, okay, independent of what questions and what topics I have on BTP, I know to whom I can go, who can help me, and this is really the role we want to have, and where we have the expertise to actually say, okay, we can support you on your long-term strategy. We can support you in simple first ideas, but also in scaling the whole thing. So this is where we are. So whenever there's an idea of BTP can help me, Sovanta is there to help you. So that's like something I would summarize it.
I like that. And when I go to SAP, or when I have conversations also with customers, one of our cool USPs now, because we are so advanced on the BTP, is others still have to figure it out. And that's where you and I have talked often enough about how there is a need really for that other partner now that specializes in the BTP, because the heavy lifting of S4, I don't want to underestimate how much time and effort that does take, because it does. Those are juggernaut projects that really take a lot of time and attention to detail all the way through. And those partners who do that need to focus on that, because if those things mess up, a lot of time and resources and money is taken away from IT organizations, and the soul can really get sucked out of an organization very quickly if they go wrong, right? So I don't want to underestimate and undervalue the big S4 partners who have to push those transformations. But on the other side, partners like us are still are needed more than ever, and are, I think, just being realized, because you have those specialty partners that need to help in process automation, help in side-by-side extensions, while the other side is going through all this other stuff still needs to happen based on those business demands like we talked about earlier. And
it's never an either or. It's always a combination. So we worked with such a lot of big companies, really big enterprises, where there's always a lot of partners involved, and we know how to work together with other partners, and it's a necessity that we know how to work together. So definitely, it's always so. There's the S4 partner, there's the BTP partner, there's an HXM partner. So there's all different partners, and I think the important part is really to understand how can we work together in order to make the customer more successful altogether.
And a lot of people are really hesitant to do that at first, but when we show them examples of how that can happen, and everybody has their roles and their responsibilities defined, it actually works out really great.
Yeah,
definitely. And we meet a lot of great people. We see what they're doing, on their side, and that's why we have a lot of respect for those expertise and everything that they're doing. Like I said earlier, because those projects really are beasts of projects that we just can't that we don't focus on, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So okay, I think we understood when to approach Sovanta, also Sovanta America. But the next question would be, how can I approach you? So if I'm an American customer, where can I find you? Which event do I have to visit? Where's your office? What's your phone number? What's your email address? So how can I get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. No, so what my goal for this year, as our first year really as a true partner of SAP, is that we are seen sponsoring a lot of the BTP events over in the US, right? So we started everything off with the big ASUG Tech Connect last year. We found a resounding amount of customers and positive messaging towards what we were doing, which is really great. We took that feedback, we embodied it, and we already sponsored an event in Newtown Square this year, which is great. I'll be flying to the US actually again for next week's event in Palo Alto, BTP Champions Summit. Will be next week, starting on the 12th of March, depending on when this recording will be posted, right? The week after, we'll actually be in Miami at the follow-up BTP Champion Summit. So we have the West Coast and the South, and then we also will have another BTP Champion Summit in mid-April in Chicago as well. So going back up into the Midwest, as you know too well, I'm from the Midwest, so it's always fun to visit the Midwest whenever I get a chance.
Okay, so visiting the events. Hopefully, the podcast will be live so that everybody can still join those early events. But we'll be around anyway. So there's other options as well to just get in touch with us. You mentioned the some of the offerings where you said, okay, it's a great format to actually get to know each other a little bit in a discovery workshop for BTP, in a workflow discovery workshop, and something like that. So that's always, I guess, as well, good starting points if there's any kind of problem or requirement in those areas, to just try us to try to work with us and contact us in that aspect.
Well, I think one of the biggest messages that I would relay to customers is that we're also working hand in hand with SAP. Mm-hmm. Right? We're not going off and doing something and saying, okay, don't talk to them anymore. No, we do follow exactly what SAP sees fit as the process all the way through. Now, granted, we are a partner and we do have the luxury of making sure that we're tailoring the SAP standard experiences for anything that the customers have, that's exceptional for their processes and for their organization all the way through. But at the same time, for customers to know that we're in lockstep with SAP, and that we're in constant communication with SAP about what we're doing, so that we're all one team moving through this journey together, is also really important. So for customers to say, oh, they don't, I think that actually that's one of our strengths, saying, hey, we really have roots, deep roots with SAP, is also a comfort that they should have. Right. Mm-hmm. So if they have any questions, they can go to SAP or they can go to us. They know that we're gonna talk together, and we're going to devise a strategy and a plan for them that works best for their business outcomes.
Yeah. We can sit in the car and be in Waldorf in 15 minutes. So we can
that's right. I think that's absolutely. And that's another good point. I mean, we're right here near the mothership of SAP in Germany here, which bodes really well for us. But that's also when we decided to make open our initial office in the US, we're also in Newtown Square. So we are literally a mile and a half away from the SAP headquarters, right outside of Philadelphia, which also bodes well for us, saying, hey, we're here, we're connected at the hip of SAP. We really appreciate everything that SAP has done over the last 10 years to build up the framework that is the BTP, and we're all in, as you know, with our hashtag BTP squad, and that makes work a lot of fun. It makes a lot of fun work a lot of fun for the entire organization, and it motivates everybody to help our customers in their journey.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm looking a little bit into my watch, coming to an end. So maybe like two more questions. One is really about, okay, we talked a lot about business, about why we are there, but also it's also a personal experience. I talked earlier about us traveling together to the States. It's always a lot of fun. But just from your perspective, looking back, any highlights you want to mention? Anything that where you have great memories in the first, I don't know, the last years? Anything that comes into your mind?
I think, first of all, as an American, being able to take our German organization over to the US is a highlight for me, right? Mm-hmm. You don't get to do that very often. So for me, that was a great experience last year, helping to organize our opening of our first office, being able to go over, and get the keys and make sure that the office is there and that we're good to go. Interacting with the entire network of the legal side, the HR side, making sure that we have everything set as a business over there, was a pretty cool. You don't want to say pride point, but it was a nice heartwarming thing. And then the second one for me is really having our CEO come over, Klaus Heinrich, who's a former board member of SAP. Coming over, traveling with us to Newtown Square, to the U.S. headquarters of SAP as well. Formerly, board member of SAP, and then also being the CEO of Sovanta and representing us over there was a pretty cool pride point for me as well. Okay,
yeah, thanks for the insights. And then really the last question. We're talking about highlights, looking into the future. Looking, 6 months, 12 months in the future, what kind of highlight would you want to talk about if we had another podcast in 12 months? So what would be the ideal memory of then the last 12 months when you think back? So what highlight are you looking for forward to in the future?
Well, what's really great is that we have a lot in motion now. We're speaking with customers, and we have a lot of use cases defined. For us then to be able to share those use cases as reference stories in the U.S. with other customers who are going through the same problems and have the same pain points is really going to be fun for me and really beneficial for our organization here at Sovanta, saying, hey, this is not only a DACH region thing that's going on, right? It's a global thing that's going on for all SAP customers, and we are in a great position to help customers. So really being able to speak and speak to those references and share those stories as well about how we're helping customers build successful BTP programs is going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks, Cody. I really like that. I'm really looking forward to working on that journey together with you. Thanks for being on the podcast, and then good luck next week in the United States.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. Let's do it again.
Thank you. So this was another episode of the Experience SAP podcast. So we really learned that the BTP plays a crucial role in the American market as well. That the requirements, the problems, the scenarios of American companies differ not too much from the German markets. I really learned a lot. I really had a good time with Cody. Always have a good time with Cody. So thanks again, Cody, for being on the podcast. Looking forward to the next one.